It's the 31st of July and I will not be spending any money today, so I can safely say I know how much money I've spent on my knitting hobby in the month of July 2025. So I keep a spreadsheet of all my expenses that are related to my knitting hobby, and since this filming of my knitting hobby at the moment is a part of my hobby, I also relate the content creation part of the costs. So as I've seen in some other months of tracking my spending in general, my spending is quite compact. So I spend weeks not spending any money at all, and then there are a few days where I spend the bulk of the money in one go or in within a few days. And this month was the same. So I went 24 days without spending any money on my knitting hobby, and then in the span of 2 days, I spent all of it. So let's get started. I went down to the south of Sweden to visit my parents in Helsingborg, which is a coastal town in the south of Sweden on the west coast. There is a very cute yarn store that is called Yarn Circus. And I went in there because I always want to support local yarn stores if I can. And I went in with 2 definites and 1 maybe. The definites were a cable extension cord, so you know the cables that you put at the end of needles and slip over live stitches on, or just keep, for example. Okay, so that was apparently where my mic decided to cut out, because the rest of the video, not a beep, nothing can be heard. The other definite was a replacement for a 3.5mm interchangeable needle that I had broken. So I know you're not supposed to be leaving these out and about. I had taken them out of my bag and put them next to my bag in a knitting project, and then accidentally stepped on, and I could feel the tiny wood just crunch. So it broke off just at the joint between the metal and the wood. It was a quite clean break, and I thought about trying to repair it, trying to glue it back together, but I figured that would just fail, because 9 out of 10 times before, when I've glued knitting needles back together, that's just failed. So I bought new ones. These are the Knit Pro, not Lana Gatto but Lana Grossa collaboration. So they look different. So these are the normal Knit Pro standard ones. So the multicolored wood and the silver metal screw-on thing. And these are in a lighter wood, one-toned, and the metal is a rose gold, which I think is quite beautiful. They work with my other interchangeable needle sets, so the cables, they work with the same size anyway, they are compatible. But I think this is a bit tighter than these are, because I've had one cable that wouldn't fit. I couldn't screw it all the way in. I almost thought that the... Can you hear that sound? Hopefully not. That's annoying. Anyway, I thought that the hinges maybe were shorter than in the standard ones, because the first cable I tried, it didn't go all the way in. But then I tried another cable and that worked perfectly fine. So maybe that was just one dud. And they loosen up on a project, so I had to go in and re-tighten. But I mean, with an interchangeable needle, that's to be expected. I have to do that with my other ones as well, and especially since I'm such a tight knitter, the stitches, they keep, if they are tight, they sort of grip and pull on the needle and making it unscrew in a way that it might not do if you're a more relaxed knitter. But I am a tight knitter. So that was the other definite. So the cable extenders were €2. These were €8, and then I had a thought, because it was in the middle of a heat wave. I was just finishing up the Feels Right tee, and it is made out of an Isaiah yarn, with a cotton and linen mix, and I really like the linen. I have somehow decided that I don't like a cotton. I think that's because I knitted with a cotton at one point, and that garment just was so heavy, and I ended up never using it and unraveling it and giving away the yarn to someone else because I was like, this is so not my thing that I don't want to see it at all. But I really like the linen of this, and I mean, maybe I like the cotton part of it as well because I've grown as a person. But I was very curious to try something else with a linen mix. So since I liked the look of this while I was making it, before I had attached the sleeves, I was like, what happens if I make a sleeveless top? And then with the Gemma polo that I was also finishing over the summer, which has a button band that goes halfway down the chest, and with a collar, I thought, why not combine those and make a chic little sleeveless collared top situation. So I had looked at a few patterns and I had found one that I was quite interested in, and I was browsing in the store because I thought that maybe if I stumble over something, I can get the yarn for that project. And now, having returned from Norway and having bought a lot of yarn that is for fall and winter projects, I wouldn't say that I necessarily regret this purchase, but I wish that I had made the purchase in a few months, so in spring next year, because this is not something that I will be using probably until March at the very earliest. Anyway, this is the Isaiah Trio, so it's the thinner version. So there is a Trio 2, I think, which is thicker, but this is 50% flax, so linen, 30% cotton, and 20% bamboo. And it's 50 grams for 350 meters. So this is very thin. The yarn is, the yarn is very thin. And it's quite floppy, so it doesn't grip to itself at all, which I think will lead to a very flowy garment. And I bought 4 of these because the pattern needs under 700 meters. And if I can, I would love to make the garment in a single strand, but if I can't, then I have enough to make it held double. So I bought 4 of these, the same dye lot, and they were 39 euros and 70 cents. A beautiful yarn that I'm excited to work with. I think this will make a good all year round appropriate garment, because I was thinking, do I make a lighter beige one? I don't want a stark white, I don't want a black one, I want something that works with a lot of pieces in my wardrobe. And then I thought, you know what, I'll go for a dark neutral, because this is about as dark as I get. I am not blessed with melanin whatsoever, and this and all pasty shades is what I get. And I think this rich brown will look very good in the dead of winter when I'm at my palest, and it will also look good when I have a bit of a light beige tone in the very warmest parts of summer next year. So I wish that I bought this yarn next year, but I am excited to get around to working with it at one point or another. So 4 balls of these, so 200 grams, and that would make me a summer top for next year, or an all year round top. I went on Ravelry and I got the pattern for the yarn that I wanted. That was just knitter's hubris across the board, buying a pattern when I have so many fun works in progress at the moment. But I was like, I'm going to get around to it before I start before I go to Norway. That didn't happen. Anyway, I got the top Amy from Mochi Knits, and as I said, it's a sleeveless top with a collar, and the pattern I think cost 9 euros and 70 cents. And I downloaded it and I printed it, and oh my god, there are so many pages in this pattern. It looks very detailed, but I think the page number is because there are a lot of sizes and all of the sizes need their own lengthy explanations, hopefully, because I don't want to be following a pattern for 16 pages or whatever it is. So having knit the Feels Right tea, I was very in the mood for an easy linen mix knit. And then looking at the top Amy, I was like, this is not what I thought I would be getting. So I didn't end up actually casting on for the project at all. But that is something that, as I said, will probably happen next spring. And then the next day, so the 26th of July, I went back home. I went on the train and I went searching on Ravelry, again, as one does when one has some time off, because my mother had really complimented me about my camisole number 4 and how she really enjoyed the v-neck look and how she said that she wished she had a camisole of her own in maybe a linen, again, mix. And she told me about a top that she knit for herself in Sandnes Garn in Linne, and she has worn it so much and it washes really well. And I figured, why not surprise her by knitting her a camisole for her birthday in October? So I knew that I was going to Sandnes, and I thought I will pick up her favorite lightweight yarn there, and I will knit her a camisole that she hopefully will love and enjoy, because she doesn't like knitting with tiny needle sizes anymore, and if she does, she will knit for her grandchildren. I thought, why not surprise her with a handmade, hand knitted garment, just as she has given me so many beautiful sweaters. I would love to be able to return that to her now that I have the ability to. So I found the Cascade top by Odd Rose, and it's a ribbed camisole. I think it's like a 5x1 rib or something. So it's a quite sparse rib, but it goes all across the body, and the straps are thicker than my camisole number 4, because I don't think that my mother would enjoy such thin straps. She's definitely more for the broader straps, and the straps have detail, a cable detailing, so it looks like there are columns that twist around each other, but not in a bulky cable way, but rather almost like a lace detail, which I think is very beautiful. So that I wanted to make for her. It looks to be in a good size range, and I think I can make a beautiful garment for my mother. So I bought that pattern as well for €6.75. Converted into Swedish krona, of course, I think it's a Danish brand, maybe. So that's all the knitting paraphernalia that I bought in July. Then, of course, since I do the filming and the editing of these videos as a part of the hobby, as it looks at the moment at least, I also include the cost of the editing software. And the editing software that I use is a subscription based, so it's €9.80 per month, which is included in the total for this month as well. And I mean, if I had poked around a bit, I would have been able to find a good free alternative, but I didn't do my research, and now I'm paying for it because the subscription runs over the course of a year. And I mean, I'm fine with it. It works well. I like being able to upload my finished projects into a cloud storage and being able to access it over different places, and it is what it is. So all in all, this month I spent money over the course of 2 days, the 24th and the 26th of July, and I spent a total of €75.60. So this is a pattern that is repeating from earlier months and earlier years where I've tracked my spending. The spending is quite compressed in the month. So one or a few days where I do the spending and then I don't do any spending at all for the other days or weeks of the month. This month was a bit different because I knew that in just a few days I would be leaving to Norway, and one of the things that I was looking forward to in Norway was buying yarn, finding gorgeous yarn for the projects that I have in mind for the next few months, and browsing, looking for inspiration, and being inspired by the locally produced yarn there. So I sort of curbed my spending. I mean, I did see other beautiful yarn in the yarn store when I visited, but I knew that I have yarn coming in, and I don't want my spending to be completely separate from the making. So if I buy yarn in July and I don't get around to using it until April the next year, I will have completely separated the hobby of buying from the hobby of making. And I don't want that. I want the hobby of making to be the thing, and I buy to be able to make. Not I buy because it's fun and then I make because it's fun, because I don't want to buy unnecessary things, and I don't want to give myself that habit of buying for the sake of buying, for the dopamine kick that I get from buying something fun. In Norway, I got over 2 kilograms of yarn, and granted, most of it is for one project. It's for one sweater for my partner, but the other ones are smaller projects with 100 to 300 grams each, and I would love to be able to get to those projects in not the too distant future. So what do I foresee for the next month? I mean, I've already bought so much yarn this month. You will be seeing that in next month's video. I don't foresee myself buying yarn for the next few months up until Christmas, but I do think that I would be spending money on patterns because I have some things that I want to make that I don't have the pattern for yet. I have maybe favorited something. I know the rough estimate of how much yarn I need, so I bought that amount of yarn, but I haven't bought the actual pattern yet. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you're interested in seeing all the yarn that I bought in Norway, over 2 kilograms of yarn, click right here and it will take you to the video where I go through that. If you want to, please click right here to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Take care.